Hey guys, welcome back to the. It's not meant to be heard anymore. Crap.
Wow, we're
Boy Meets
starting off.
Squirrel.
You're the one who came up with the name and the logo.
I read your shirt, and what came in my head and what came out of my mouth were a disconnect.
That was good. We're starting off good. How's Lindsay today?
Apparently not doing well.
You got having a blonde moment? Yeah, I said it.
Yes. The peroxide has gone to my brain.
Where's the purple hair back? I want the purple hair back.
I'm working.
Hey, Alex. Alex just jumped in from Thailand. That's my buddy.
Hi guys. All right, let's try this again.
Starting over.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Boy Meets Squirrel show. I'm Squirrel, aka Lindsay, and this is Dan, aka Boy. Well, technically he's not a boy. Anyway, moving on.
I'm okay with Boy. You're good with it.
And
I take no offense with that stuff.
Today we're talking about accountability and anti-collectivism within activist space. So I came up with this one. I've been seeing all me. That's it. I'm the problem, guys.
Yeah, but
I've been seeing this.
I'm going to chirp in.
I've been seeing this a lot online lately, in different circles, not just on TikTok, and on YouTube, on X, Twitter, Instagram. A lot of infighting is going on between activists, and it seems that we have kind of put aside the mission in order to play miscongeniality. A popularity contest. Who has the most followers? Who has the most likes? This person I don't like. And here's the thing, guys. When you're working towards a goal, say if you're working in let's use the analogy that activism is like shift work at, say, McDonald's or something. You have a goal. The goal when you're working at McDonald's is to move as many cars through the drive-thru as quickly as possible. Yes, I used to do this so I can.
You used to be the goal. Back when I managed the McDonald's. It's a little different now. It takes 5 minutes to take the order. But anyway, go on.
But that used to be when I worked there, he worked there, everyone worked there. It used to be as many drive-thru was the priority. Front counter was.
We are already restricted. Unoriginal or reproduced content.
Yeah.
At Lindsay, stop copying yourself.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
go on.
That was the goal.
Do us a favor. Let me just interrupt. Guys, do us a favor. Now that we're restricted, it's not going to get shown on TikTok. Share this, please.
So that was the goal. And everyone in the restaurant was working towards that goal. You had coworkers that you were friendly with, and you had coworkers that you despised. But you still had to work together to make the food and get it out the window, front drive, as soon as possible. Activism is not much different than that. You have a goal, in this case, men's mental health, men's and boys issues, advocacy for men and boys, because y'all have got the short end of that stick and have for the past, in my opinion, 70-something years. That said, we can't do that if Backdrive is fighting with the grill people because I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like your something you do out off time or not when you're working. It's like, I just don't like you. We go to school together and I just don't like them and blah, 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 blah. So you're not going to work together. Your manager, if they saw that, hold on one second. Dan, say something.
Something. No. I know. I skipped. Oh boy, she muted herself. Get ready, kids. So yeah, I'll just jump in and go take up where Lindsay left off, which is, and again, I'll use the McDonald's analogy because I started on my 16th birthday at McDonald's making French fries many, many, many years ago. It was back in the 70s, and made it all the way to store manager at 22 years old. I was a store manager. Making $35,000 a year back then, which was a nice amount of money back then. So I'm very familiar with it. And the rule used to be a car a minute in the drive-through. Now it's a car an hour. But going back to what you were talking about with the movement and the infighting that happens behind the scenes. And I know people watching this may not be aware of what's going on. Good. I'm glad you don't know what's going on. We're kind of keeping this at a high level. And the reason that I was attracted to what Lindsay was, because we were talking behind the scenes the other day about it, is that this is not something that's new. All right. I've been doing this for 30 years. It is something that I have had to deal with personally. I don't know how many times, hundreds of times. Guys and some women coming at me going, "You're not doing it right. You're not doing enough. You're not blah, blah, blah." Whatever it is, I'm not doing. Inevitably, those same people haven't done a damn thing, right? It goes back to what I've shared before, both on this show and in my videos, where I've talked about how we were trying to get things like shared parenting in New York 20 odd years ago. And we were doing, there was a core group of us of about 15 people doing 99% of the work, a total group of about 80, but yet we had people who had nothing to do with us chirping at us that we aren't doing it right, or we need to do this, or you need to do that. And they never once stepped up and helped, right? And that's why I have zero tolerance for this crap. One, if you're going to make criticisms of other people, you better have something to stand behind yourself. And two, can't we just all get along, right? We have a common goal. Let's not resort to what the other side does, which is the infighting. So
right. So we have to remember that we have, like Dan said, we have a common goal. And we don't have to all be friends, but we at least have to be friendly when we're on the clock, so to speak. And that's what I see a lot of what's going on right now is with the different, groups. I have fingers in many pies, or many fingers in many pies, I guess. None of them are Apple. Don't even with that, guys.
Hey, I love Apple. I have cherry in the fridge right now. So,
but what I see a lot of is if someone isn't advocating the way another advocate who is maybe more well known, has more followers or more likes or whatever, if that one advocate says, "Well, you're not doing it right. I don't like what you're doing. So we're going to kick you out of the club, excommunicate you." And I'm like, no, it's not a contest. Look, no one advocate. This is not Highlander. We're not competing to see which advocate is like the last advocate standing. It's none of us are going to be 100% of the solution, but one person might be 10% of the solution. Another person might be, 5% of the solution. Another person might be 0.5% of the solution. But you know what? 0.5 adds up when you have large groups of people. It's another line from Agents of Shields. 100 people with 1% of the solution.
Like tons of references today. You're all over the place with it.
It is still going to get you to 100%, even if it takes 100 people. So that's what we need to be aware of, is that just because someone isn't necessarily doing it your way, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it wrong. I mean, let's take it back to Dan was talking about how we don't want to be the other side. We don't want to be the evil, vindictive shrew who's mad that you folded the towels wrong. All roads lead to Rome. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So if the towel is folded, yay, you've succeeded. Not, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. That's not helpful.
So, and we're not going to mention any names. We're not giving anything away that'll identify anyone. We're just talking in generalities here. But, over the last year and a half, I'm starting to see this ramping up more and more, right? There are certain people that are out to make a buck. And you know what? I've said it before. I don't care. I'm good with it, right? If what they're talking about is men's issues and they can make millions of dollars, more power to them. If I wanted to make millions of dollars, I know exactly what I'd have to do it. The first thing I would do is become Mr. Clippy 2, right? Because he doesn't, if you think someone like that is doing it because he cares about women's issues, Don't kid yourself. He knows that if he gets the women ginned up, emotionally just explode, he gets more likes, views, comments, all that stuff, and makes well, I don't know if he's making millions, but he's making a lot. Pearl is a perfect example. I will name one name, right? Pearl makes outrageous claims. Like we need to repeal the right to vote for women. That makes all of us look bad because I have been, I don't know how many times, literally a daily occurrence at times. I'll have stretches of it where you're just like Pearl, and I'm like, I am nothing like her, right? I'm talking about actual issues. She's out to make a buck, and she makes a lot of money. She makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month
By stirring the pot.
By stirring the pot. Same thing, by the way, with Tate. I've talked about him before, right? That they are not in it to help men. They do not care about men's issues. They don't do anything behind the scenes. Nothing. They're out to make a buck. And I don't begrudge that in a manner of speaking, right? To a certain point, I do, because it makes the rest of us look bad when they go too far, like taking the right vote away from women. No, all right. I go nuts with that. But some of the things Tate has said is just so outlandish. But he knows if he does that, he's going to get so much hate from the women's groups, and the algorithms pick up on it. So if I wanted to become a millionaire, that's all I got to do. That's not what I do, right? I'm not in this to make money, and trust me, I'm not making a lot of money. Neither is Lindsay, right? But that's what separates us from them. What we want people to do is focus on the actual issues that are going on, right? June was Men's Mental Health Month. I have to say something positive, by the way. I was shocked. So I was laying in bed last Friday watching the local news. Now, I'm very good friends with a couple of the local newscasters. I have not said anything to them, but out of nowhere, they ran a story on Men's Mental Health Month. I couldn't believe it. Now, they had done every other topic. There's obviously Pride, but there's some other things that are in June for months. They had covered all of them a million times. I had never seen anything, and I was waiting till the end of the month because I'm going to call them out on it. Well, they screwed me up on it. Because they did. Not only did they run a story, they did an outstanding job of it.
Yay.
It was well done. They did not try and interject women issues at all. They could not have done a better job. I've actually emailed the reporter that did it, because I want to sit down with him or her. I'm not going to reveal names. I know who it is, but it was just outstanding. I'm actually surprised the producers allowed it, but that was a positive, right? And that's what I want all of us focused on, is what can we do to bring around more positivity and cut this BS that happens behind the scenes.
And I've also seen in the past, because like Dan said, this is not a new thing, but in the very beginning, at least on the Clock app, we were all, that's what I call it.
I know.
Because even a broken clock is right twice a day, so sometimes there'll be good stuff on it, sometimes there's not. Because mostly it's cat videos and other stupid stuff. But we're the twice a day, by the way, just in case you were wondering. But when we first got on the Clock app and we were starting to talk about, men's rights and men's mental health and men's issues, we were all just so thrilled that we had a platform that we all kind of got, along. Now that it has become a staple in our advocacy, another avenue, another medium by which to talk about the issues, we've all kind of settled into, okay, this is now known now. And because it has become, for lack of a better word, complacent, normalized, now we have started to find infighting. And other people will sit there until I got one earlier today from a not satirical account. Someone said that I don't know anything about men's issues and I should just shut up because insert horrifically misogynistic thing here. It happens all the time on lately on Dan's videos, I make a sarcastic comment, and
no
without
jumping.
doing any of the research, like a 5-second look at my page, I get called, oh, look, another princess. Oh, look this. Oh, look at that. And I'm like, dude, please. I mean this sincerely. Take a look at my profile before you just automatically
Watch
assume.
this show. Hello.
I once got the funniest one from one of your videos is you'd done a clip of the anniversary podcast where I came back.
Oh, okay, yep.
So it's me on the screen, and I make a comment, and I get I don't know how many comments on it. They're like, "Well, you just don't know," and I was like, "It's me. Hi, it's me. I'm the girl that he's talking. Like, it's me. Can you not? Because the picture, my avatar is the same as this, and that's kind of this idea that at least in our community, we're starting to see a lot of parallels on our side that unfortunately parallel some of the behavior that we all hate on the feminist side, for lack of a better, the other side, including but not limited to, in many cases, shielding bad behavior.
Mhm.
That's another thing. Everyone is mad that the feminists, and rightly so, the feminist will say there's two feminists, feminist A, feminist B. Feminist A is actually walks the walk and talks the talk and actually practices what she preaches. Feminist B is a terrible person who has terrible behaviors, who is just a misandrous piece of crap. And feminist A will shield her and make excuses for her bad behaviors because she's a feminist too, and we have to protect the sisterhood. That's collectivism. That's saying that by virtue of belonging to this tribe, group, anything, you get a kind of like a free pass on being a shit person.
Mhm.
And now we're seeing that over here on our side too. We're seeing truly horrible people who label themselves MRAs, like Tate and Pearl, who I don't like them as individuals. I think they lack morals. I think they're doing it for the wrong reasons, and they're causing more problems than they help. They stir the pot, and they never offer any solutions. But people will make excuses for them and say, oh, well, they're helping the cause, but they're not. Or they're MRAs. They're calling themselves that, but are they really? Because actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
You can call yourself an equalist, but if you think that everyone besides you should be held down, then you're not an equalist. You can call yourself insert political party, whatever here. But if you, in practice, in your day-to-day life, exude the antithesis of whatever platform or set of morals or spirituality or whatever you claim to be a part of, well, then you're not really a part of that now, are you? You can also liken this to, say, another really good example is religion. Everyone says, I'm a good insert religion here. Okay, well, here are the values of that religion, and you have missed every single one of them. You're a shit person. You can claim you are this all you want, but your actions speak louder than words. Because if you were that, you would support or not support, actually practice walk the walk, talk the talk.
Right.
You can't claim to be a supporter of a certain set of morals or ideas and then in your daily life do the exact opposite. Again, actions speak louder than words. So now we have the problem, at least on our side, is we have started to see many more instances of people that will claim I speak for men, or I'm an MRA, or I support men, when in practice they're doing more harm than good. And then, who is making all this noise? Mr. Squirrely, stop making noise!
Oh boy.
Amazon can wait. He's rustling around in the background. And then when the actual people who walk the walk, talk the talk, Dan and I and other people, call them out going, hey, either fix your morals or stop calling yourself an MRA because you're making all of us look bad. And then we get attacked. We're the ones that are, well, problematic. And like, well, actually, no, we're doing that thing that no one wants to do. We're holding our own side accountable, but we're being prevented in many cases from holding our side accountable by people who really aren't on our side at all. Like the peanut gallery is saying, you can't say that about this person because XYZ. It shouldn't,
Well, I mean,
it shouldn't
yeah, I
matter.
mean,
Bad behavior is bad behavior.
I ran into this 9-10 months ago, somewhere in there, where I had some of Pearl's people coming at me repeatedly, more so behind the scenes. Every once in a while they'd put a comment on my videos, but more so behind the scenes, claiming I was stealing her content. Right? You're just taking her content and stealing it and blah blah blah, and she's been around, blah blah blah. And I said to them, I've been around before she was even born. I was talking about these issues, right? And I got into it with one of them in particular, who I suspect works for her. I don't know that. It's just the way the verbiage was. She's definitely in the industry, media industry. And I'm like, I've written articles back as far as 95, 96 on, because they were talking about a specific topic. And I said, I had a top, one of my articles go worldwide in about 20 years ago on this very topic. And you're telling me I'm stealing her content? It's more like she's stealing mine.
The other way around.
Right. And, the sum of it all was, to me, it's like, again, it goes back to my phrase, why can't we all get along? Right. If I could care less what Pearl does. If she's off making $350,000 a month doing what she's doing, which is what I've heard is what she's making, more power to her. I don't care. Why are you coming at me? Because I don't care about money, right? I don't do this for the money. I want to bring about change, right? I'm in legislators' offices lobbying. I am reaching out to people in the media. I am trying to help, our friend Bill Corbett get a domestic violence shelter open. You think Pearl or Tate will pony up any money for that, by the way? Not a penny. Both of them have been asked by me. I emailed their representatives, both of them, twice. Zip, right? If you're making 350 grand a year or a month, excuse me, you can't pay, say, 5,000 towards a shelter for men. Don't tell me you're fighting for men's issues. You're full of it, right? Because it's tax deductible also, by the way. I made sure I made that point. I've put in my money. I've done all the time. But yet they'll come at me, and I don't care. I'm not saying this is a pity party for me, but this illustrates the point we're talking about, right? Which is,
it's counterproductive. It's
not only counterproductive, it wastes so much time, especially mine, right? I am a one-man operation. I all my videos, I have to script. When I script them, a majority of them I do off the top of my head, film them, edit them, post them. I write an article a week. That's got to be done. We're writing the book. We're doing this show. We're doing all of that stuff. I don't have time to be dealing with somebody who's pissed off because I did a video that's similar to something else they did. Who cares? If we're trying to raise awareness on, say, domestic violence, why do you care?
I've also seen, and in many cases, I've also seen someone will get mad at someone because they either, why didn't I think of that? How dare you think of it before I? Which is ridiculous. Or someone will make a video. This happened to me, and I have both examples. So someone made a video, and I watched it and kind of did my own spin on it. Mine got more attention than theirs. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know.
Sometimes it just happens.
Sometimes it just happens that way. With the algorithm. Yes, exactly.
It's the algorithm.
And I got accused and attacked and all these horrible things. And then the other way is I made a video and someone else took my idea and ran with it and did a much better job than I did. I mean, their graphics were better. They had all they spent time on it. I hit record and I don't do a lot of the CapCut crap because I don't have time. I have 2 kids. It's summer. I just don't have time.
Mhm.
They did a much better job. It was a much more visually pleasing video. But rather than get upset, I was happy because the message was important. It doesn't matter who says it. And that video got more views than mine. And it's an important message. It was about men's unaliving awareness. And the message needs to get out. So if someone can say it better than I and can reach a wider audience, I don't need the accolades or
More
the
power to them,
acknowledgement. More
right?
power to them.
Yeah.
But we see a lot. We're starting to see more of that as TikTok becomes more and more old new. It's the newness is worn off. It is no longer. It becomes a staple of just another median that we're using, like back in the day, newspapers and whatnot.
Mhm.
It used to be that when newspapers were brand new, they were a very serious undertaking. And then after they became established, then you get shit like the tabloids or the gossip columns.
Right.
That
People figure they can make money on it. They're going to come in and do their own version of it.
that's what I see is happening now.
Oh,
TikTok
yeah.
has become established, so we're no longer focused on using this new tool. Now we're focused on who's more popular, who has more likes, who has a bigger following.
It's
Um,
becoming like YouTube has been. YouTube's gotten that way, right?
yeah,
Where, the bigger ones, people, they tend to get mad at smaller channels that are doing something similar. Um, you know, you look at somebody like Mr. Beast, who is the #1 YouTuber. He's making God knows how much money, right? I mean, literally tens of millions of dollars. I've never seen him put down a smaller creator. I have to give him credit. But I've seen creators that are in that echelon, not to that level, but not far below that, just go after smaller creators. And again, the topics may be similar, but they're not stealing their videos, right? Or regurgitating them. And I'll use myself as an example where, Lady J, everybody knows who she is. She's phenomenal. Her content is very similar to mine if you look at it. I don't know how she gets the videos that she works off of. I get 99% of mine come from my followers. They'll send, there's a day that goes by, I don't get 100 DMs at least, probably more like hundreds. Do something on this video. Do something on this video. And every once in a while, she and I will do the exact same video and post within an hour. I've seen it happen, right? And the takes may be somewhat similar. But we're not copying. She's not copying me. I'm certainly not copying her. I don't for 1 second think any of that's going on. But yet that could be a problem in some people's eyes. I would never have a problem with her. Never, right? I think she does really good stuff with what she does. That's the way it's supposed to be. And I hope she doesn't have any problem with mine, right? I actually miss a lot of her videos because I don't spend a lot of time online watching videos. But when people send them to me, sometimes, they'll send me her video. I may get one of yours, Lindsay, right? And I watch them then. All right. If my followers thought it was good, I'll go watch it because people send me your videos all the time. You're the one I do watch all of it. Okay?
yeah.
But,
I can't tell you how many times I get tagged in the comments. So I was like,
yeah.
well, when you post them, it pops up. And then, I did have someone. I had a friend of mine the other day, an actual friend in real life.
Hold on. Equality for Life just sent a hat.
Yeehaw!
Sorry. So those that don't know, if you're a first-time watcher, first-time viewer, I also missed one earlier, which was Tickle Me. Go.
Yeehaw!
I wanted to catch up on them. That's why I said I better do it now. So those that don't know, if you send a hat and mustache, Lindsay does the yeehaw. So kind of our little shtick. Sorry I interrupted, but I wanted to make sure we got that. Go ahead.
I lost my train of thought.
Curtis just said I looks like I need a hug. Thanks, Curtis.
Dan, I'm going to step away for a minute. My children are loud, and the water slide has arrived.
All right, I got it. So again, kind of go back to what I was talking about with Lady J. Our stuff may be very similar, and I have a feeling she gets her videos very much the same way I get mine that I play off of, right? I call mine my give and takes. And as I said, my followers send them to me. I don't spend time on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram scrolling through videos looking for things to talk about. Do I find one that I'll play off of? 99, probably 99.99% of the time, the videos that I use to do my give and takes are ones viewers have sent me and said, could you do something on that? I get so many of them that I would have to do 100 videos a day just to even come close to catching up. That's why I'm like, we shouldn't be worrying about stuff like that, right? There's enough stuff to go around. There are more issues than we can ever begin to cover, or to the depth that we need to cover them. June was Men's Mental Health Month. I did a lot on that. I know Lindsay did some stuff on that. Others did. It was a drop in the bucket compared to what needed to be done, right? There are so few of us compared to the other side, right? We're outnumbered 10,000 to 1, to be honest with you. So that's why we need to focus on helping each other, not tearing each other apart.
We especially need to, like you said, we're outnumbered. So that's why I always come back to actions speak louder than words. You can claim a title, and unless you exemplify that title, I'm gonna call BS. I'm gonna call bullshit. I've been accused of being, and people always try and make me mad. Which, newsflash, guys, while I am technically female, I mean, I know they're small, but I am technically female.
I knew you were going to say that. It's like a weekly thing now.
I will not fly off the handle like you say 2 words and all of a sudden I'm frothing at the mouth mad. But people still try it. They still try it. So they'll be you're not a real MRA. You don't care about men. I'm like, okay. And they're like, so you admit it? I said, I didn't admit anything. I just said, okay. Like, my actions and track records speak for themselves. I'm not going to convince you, and I'm sorry, but frankly, you're not worth my time to try to convince. So bye.
Exactly. Yeah.
And without fail, most people just get so angry. I saw my name pop up. You spelled it wrong. It's an AY, not an EY, because my first name used to be a last name. So technically, my great grandfather's last name was Lindsay, so I'm technically a Lindsay named Lindsay. But moving on, so I'm a little scattered.
You are all over the place today.
I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off since about the ass crack of dawn this morning, because tomorrow is the 4th of July. It's the one day a year where all Americans get together, set aside their differences, and try to unalive the sky. It's the best description of that I've ever heard. And we're having a big party, and we have a giant water slide coming. And so my husband and I have been running around trying to get the house ready. But I made sure he knew I am unavailable when we're doing our show. But anyway.
I come first.
Yes, you come first. For
an hour and a half.
For an hour and a half, you come first.
You could tell him I said that part.
But we have so many people on the other side, and we're outnumbered, that this infighting, this you're doing it wrong, or you're not doing it right, or you're not doing it the way I would do it. Who cares? Like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and all roads lead to.
I'm sorry.
Rome.
Equality for life, but Lindsay, it's not quality. It's quality. I know what he was referring to.
So we can't. It's fine. We absolutely love the people up in the comments. But we can't afford the infighting. And then if you're someone who instigates infighting or starts drama or whatever, but then you want to sit there and call yourself I'm a pillar of the community. Really? Because you're attacking your own community. So I'm going to say we've determined that's a lie.
It's funny because Curtis put a comment over on YouTube. It's not about ourselves. It's about the bigger group, the future. Bingo. And then he
Yes.
said right after that, I need a hug. Curtis, I want a hug. So when we get together, buddy, because we live a couple thousand miles apart, I'm expecting a hug from you, and I will give you one in return. But yeah, I mean, that's where we need to really put our focus, is building the community, right? If there's something that somebody, there's been stuff that Lindsay and I have disagreed about, not much, but we're friends. She'll call me out on stuff. I'll call her out on stuff. That's actually being supportive of each other. There's no malice whatsoever in it, right? They're out there, but I've seen so many people who have been amazing voices for men get driven off. And the problem is, when we do that internally, that's bad, because it's happening more so externally. There is one creator. I had her. She was like the 4th guest on my podcast. I'm not going to mention her name. She was wonderful. She spoke up eloquently about men's issues and raised awareness. And the other side came for her, to the point she's off the grid completely now. And I understand why, right? That's a powerful voice we lost. And that was the other side doing it. They come for me they came for this show at 3 minutes and whatever seconds it was, right? Trying to silence us. That's to be expected. That is part of the process. We know that. Lindsay knows it. I know it. Most of you listening know that, right? They don't like our comments. They don't like our videos. They don't like our channels. They'll do everything they can to silence it. That's a given. We know that. When it's us doing it to ourselves, no, I'll never tolerate that. There are people that are in this that, I don't particularly care for personally, but they make great videos. Great. Go ahead. You'll never hear a peep from me about it. Right. And it's in my mind, if they're doing something to help raise awareness on men's and boys' issues, more power to them. It's when we try and tear each other down, it just infuriates me. In fact, just to jump in real quick, Factory 2590, the issue of MRIs doing their own thing is like herding cats, right? And it's actually the original men going their own way. That's actually what I was saying too, right? This is what happens in the men's movement, by the way, behind the scenes with the men's groups. And we saw it with the group I was in New York, where I was part of the leadership of it. Where, like I said earlier, there were 15 of us doing the majority of the work, but other people started coming in and just basically tore that group apart. You saw it with, by the way, Fathers for Justice, right? They were huge in the early 2000s boy, they're going crazy behind you, up till about 2010, right?
Oi, Gremlin! Out, away from the camera. That is the one and only time you'll see my son on camera.
Okay. Fathers for Justice tore themselves apart because the guys that were doing the work, climbing the buildings, putting themselves out there, did everything they could, but they were getting torn apart behind the scenes, and it blew that whole group apart. And where are we at now? We're no better off 30 years later than when I started this.
So I think we need to, and I've been saying this a lot lately, and I think it's another squirrelyism. I'm so sorry, guys. The water slide is here.
You are this is one of your days, huh? Don't deal with it if you got to. I cover it. She muted herself. So guys, what are you seeing with this as while she's doing that? Have you guys had struggles like that? I'm curious to know because like I talked about in New York. There was that core group. We did so much. We would have had shared parenting, if we had kept it going. The problem was, and I take some of the blame for it, is I allowed, it wasn't just me, but I allowed those people to just take over, right? They became so loud, so vocal, and were doing things behind the scenes. They tore it apart, and yet, when we try to reach out to them and say, hey, all right, if you don't agree with what we're doing on something, why don't you go lobby, right? Because they were the main issue was we were fighting for shared parenting. That was our only real focus, that and getting a shelter for men. We didn't care about child support. We didn't talk about any of the other issues, right? Shared parenting. We were laser focused on that. And guys were pissed because, well, that doesn't address child support. We're not worried about that right now. Can we get shared parenting first? And they made such an issue. They wanted this, what was a one issue bill, shared parenting, to have every issue men face. They wanted it to turn it from a short novella to War and Peace, which is never going to pass, by the way, right? And they ultimately tore it apart. And now New York, to this day, still doesn't have shared parenting.
So
how'd that work out?
Now's the perfect time for my squirrelyism. Is you can disagree and or listen. So what do we always get accused of is you're not listening. You're not listening. No, I heard you. I just don't agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I hate you. Like, disagreement is not synonymous with hatred or disdain or dislike. It's just I don't happen to agree with you. And by the way, diversity of thought is the only real diversity that matters, because otherwise you're in an echo chamber. So we actually want the people in our side to have respectfully
yes,
differing views, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and then expecting different results. So if we have this thing that we're trying, say equal share parenting, and we've been trying the same thing over and over and over again, but for 50 years we've made no progress. Well, then here comes someone new, someone up and coming, who has, well, have we tried this? And everyone's like, no, we haven't. Let's try that. Instead of, no, we're going to do this again for the 60th millionth time. So we need diversity in a movement, because not everyone looks at something the same way. Not everyone, sees the same problem, and they might see a workaround that maybe someone hadn't thought of before. But if we're so busy saying, no, you're doing it wrong, no, you're doing it wrong, then we have missed an opportunity to actually get the job done. And another squirrelyism, I guess, is that you have to look at the end goal, and getting there is a little bit more important than how you get there. Like, this is not it's about the journey. No. It's about the destination and getting to the damn finish line. And yes, slow and steady wins the race. But if you happen to see a shortcut, please wave us down so that we can go that way, rather than taking, the long way around. Like the freaking, to do another geekism. Do you know how much faster it would have been to get to Mordor if they'd gone by boat instead of over the mountains and under the hills and over, everywhere? Because if you look at the map, you could have gotten on a boat, you could have sailed around, and you would have been there within, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have made for week. 4 novels then. It would have been
exactly. But like, so
it's a money grab.
So if you're looking for the end goal, like we have a goal, and we need to get to that goal, and it doesn't really matter how we get to that goal, and we're all sitting there crawling, and someone says, hey, I have a hot air balloon, by all means, let's go in the hot air balloon. But at the same time, if only 5 people can fit in the hot air balloon, we'll pick 5 people. It doesn't really matter who, and we're not going to fight about who is it. It's a lottery. Whoever's closest to the balloon gets on it. And they can beat us there, and they can lay the groundwork for the rest of us when we catch up. Instead, we're bickering over, that's not a hot air balloon. No, this way's faster. No, this way's faster. No, this way. I don't want to do this way. Wait, who's more qualified to be on the balloon? Who cares? Just get it done. We're so busy bickering amongst ourselves that we have completely lost sight of what the goal was. Like, it has disappeared into the ether. Like that, what's the meme where Peter Griffin disappears back into the bush, in the bushes?
Into the bush.
Like, you can see him and then he's gone. Because we're so busy infighting and fighting amongst ourselves. And then someone goes, hey, the thing's gone. It moved, because we wasted so much time. And especially in the past, I say 2 years, I've seen a lot more of this, a lot less working together, and a lot more closing ranks, building hierarchies, who's establishing a pecking order of, who's the greatest MRA. And like I was telling Dan, this is not Highlander. We are not competing for who gets to be, the last advocate standing.
Yeah, who cares about that? It's funny because, and I'll let people know there is a group of us working behind the scenes to get the men's conference going, right? Which, by the way, Lindsay, just side note, we got to jump on that pretty quick because we haven't had a meeting in a while. But anyway,
yes,
there one of the things we've been talking about is what should be the topics for the conference, and there is some disagreement, and that's okay, right? What's I love about it is there's disagreement, but we all respect each other's viewpoints, right? So some people want to focus on shared parenting. Some people want to focus on domestic violence. Some people want to focus on false allegations, boys' education. There's a pretty large list, and no, there's no way we can cover it all. But rather than us going at each other constantly, or, we're not going to do that, or it's been a cohesive unit working together to go, all right, we got to pare it down. Where should the focus be? Right. And that's the way it should be. You look at somebody like Butch Slaughter, who's all over false allegations. You got Carnell Smith, who's all over paternity, veterans, fathers, and he's dealing with getting that shelter open in Atlanta. They are doing the work they need to do, and they're focused on that. Whereas I look at myself, and Lindsay's at the same point. We're up here trying to raise awareness on all of it to help them out, right? I don't want to take over for them. Believe me, I do not. They have it. They are better at all of that. Bill Corbett, what he's done to get that shelter open, I did the same stuff 20 years ago. I bow to him, right? I've seen and read their business plan. I've read their pitch and, our RFPs and all that stuff. He has done a brilliant job. There are some critiques, but I handled them with him behind the scenes. Hey, Bill, change this, do that. And he appreciated that. That's what we need to be doing.
Right? We also need to remember that there's a difference between flames, as they say on the internet, where you just say bad mouth, and constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is meant to improve. Like when I was back in ye olden days when I was in band, my directors would say, you're doing this wrong, or I'm going to get in trouble if it's you need to blow harder, or maybe you don't need to blow quite as hard, or or you're distorting the sound. They would give critiques to make my performance better. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, a lot of people are very quick to jump and think that if someone is giving them a criticism, it is meant with malice, like they want you to feel bad. No, because unless you're God, any God, you're not perfect from the get-go. You need to improve. You're always going to improve, because if you don't improve, you don't change, you stagnate. And when you stagnate, you die unalive. I'm the problem again. I'm going to get us banned.
They already came at us once, which, by the way, people, share this if you're on TikTok, because they are not streaming this out much. I can tell. Our viewership's way down on TikTok.
It's also the day before the 4th, so people might be drinking their vitamins.
Oh, no, we were popping right along until that hit, and it hit a wall. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's fine. And I know I don't mean that.
You used the F word.
I'm sorry.
No. For those that don't know, fine. It's never fine.
Here,
have
a tiny duck. Okay, so there's a story, a fun little story about the ducks, because I think that it will make everyone happy.
Let's hear it. Goal. I want to hear about the ducks.
So one of my favorite skits of all time is James Veach. We need to talk about the ducks. Go look at it on YouTube. It's hilarious. Well, I showed my friend Veronica and her husband this video, and then my friend's husband bought 150 tiny ducks, and without my knowledge, they hid them all over my house. So
nice.
To this day, I am still finding. I'll open a cabinet and there will be a duck sitting on the thing. That's
I
okay, because I
love it.
went. My friend Veronica loves pigs, so I retaliated by buying 150 tiny pigs, and I hid them all over their house too.
Well
So,
played, sir. Well played.
well played. And if anyone has seen my latest duck video where I have all my ducks long in a row, that's the origin story of why there are so many ducks in my house. I probably have 300 different ducks of different sizes in my house.
So
Don't.
wait
I
a minute.
know
How
I
did it?
don't own a Jeep.
Yeah, but how is it ducks when it should be squirrels? I'm just
I
saying.
have squirrels too.
I like that. So Lindsay sent me a picture of a squirrel she
I have
wants.
squirrels.
Unfortunately, it's not available, Lindsay. Just so you know, because I was going to buy it for you. I was going to buy it and ship it to you. They don't have it available. It's a cute little squirrel, though. Yeah, it's funny. I'll sidetrack quickly to share a story. So I had a buddy of mine who was playing a practical joke on me. I went on vacation. I came back, and he had filled all my desk drawers with those styrofoam peanuts and taped them shut. I laughed, cursed him out while I was cleaning out my drawers, did all that, and patiently waited. And then he went on vacation. Well, I didn't just his drawers. I taped off his cubicle and filled the entire cubicle with the styrofoam peanuts. And I had management. Now, I was pretty high up in management, but I had management's approval. So he had to come in and he just said, "You win." And I said, "You're damn right. Don't F with me ever again." It was all good fun, but yeah. So, yeah, practical jokes can be fun. But anyway, back to the topic.
Back to the topic. So, like, this kind of one up thing that, like, my neighbors and I have going on, that's the kind of camaraderie that I would absolutely love to see in our community, where, again, we don't need to all be best friends. We don't need to all be invited to the barbecue. Another thing I think that another observation that I have seen is that there's a lot of people who want so desperately to be part of the movement that they get mad when they're left out. Say a micro movement like the drizzle movement or something. Sansa, shush.
You are on a roll.
I'm so sorry, guys. The water slide is being inflated in our front yard. It's almost as tall as our house. I'll take pictures and put it up on my TikTok so you can see what all the fuss was about. But there's so many people, they're so afraid of being left out that they're inserting themselves into things that don't necessarily need that many people. And then we get the too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Mhm.
Like, well, I want to be there. Okay, but is your presence helpful? There's lots of things in the MRA community, the men's issue community, that I am not a part of. I know of them, I'm aware of them, but I may not be directly tagged or brought into, and that's fine, because my contribution might be superfluous. We have 5 people that are saying the same thing that I would say anyway. Well, they don't need to necessarily add my voice to it, because that just clogs it up or makes it, more difficult to search out a certain thing. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to have the spotlight on me 24/7 to feel like I'm making a difference. The fact that I have personally had a hand in saving not 1, not 2, but 3 different men's lives, including my father's, and they're still here, that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me.
It's you brought up an interesting point there. So I'm in the same boat with you, right? Thank you for the hand heart, Raven Ray. There are certain issues that I'm very passionate about, right? Everybody knows I'm very much about domestic violence and getting shelters open for men, and shared parenting is another one. The third one that I'm really passionate about is fixing education for boys. And 8-9 months ago, I had Sean Kaufman on, who runs an institute out in California. And that's their primary focus, is worrying and fixing that. And, having talked with Sean, I've spoken on the issue. I think I do a nice job on it. I've written on it. I think I do a nice job. Again, pale in comparison to what Sean's doing, right? But rather than me getting jealous of Sean or trying to outdo him or any of that, I said to him, dude, I got your back. What do you need me to do? Right. And that's why he ended up coming on my podcast so that we could talk about the issues. That's the way it's supposed to be, as opposed to, like I'll use Lindsay as an example, right? If I was jealous of Lindsay because she had, 500,000 followers and I had, I don't even know what I got anymore. What does that serve? That does nothing for the movement. Sean is able to bring in money for his stuff that I could never get. More power to him, right? You look at somebody like, say, a Warren Farrell, Jordan Peterson. I know a lot of people know him. They make, Jordan Peterson, I'll tell you right now, gets minimum 10 grand to speak somewhere. Minimum, right? Do I wish I could make 10 grand for somebody else? They
Absolutely.
said, you're damn right. I would not have a problem cashing that check. Okay. But I don't begrudge Jordan Peterson for getting it. I don't care if he's speaking about issues and raising awareness. To me, that's all that matters. I don't care who does it. As long as they're genuine. That's the cat, as we talked about a little while ago. I don't like the ones that are not genuine. That I have a problem with. But somebody like Jordan Peterson or Warren Farrell, when he gets paid to go and talk, I don't care. I was so pleased when he's someone that I've looked up to for 30 years. I was so pleased that he took an hour out of his life to come on my show, right? I fanboyed him. I even sent him off air when we were down. I'm sick. I'm so sorry, Warren, because I fanboyed him horribly, and I know I did. I don't care, right? But he was so kind and gracious. That's what we need to aspire to be, right? He took that hour to help me out because he knows I'm trying to raise awareness. Lift each other up. One of the things that I do, with my private groups that I have, through the Patreon and various things, is I put out a video every week, unique to them that nobody else sees. So if you ever want to see them, sorry, you got to be a member. The things I talked about and have started doing is translating some of what I do as a trainer over. And one of the things I put out this week to them is to say, we need to lift each other up, right? There's going to be times that we struggle. There's going to be times that we do fantastic. Celebrate the successes, help each other out when we have failure. I fail at times, right? And stuff like that. That's what it needs to be. We need to stay positive across this movement because we catch so much hate. So much hate.
We also have to kind of remember that the end goal is a better world for men and boys. So we can kind of put that into a visual is we win when we get all of our men and boys across that finish line to the promised land or whatever, and they're going to do better. We need to, not everyone can get there quickly. Not everyone can get there fast enough. Some people might need to be carried. Some people might need to be dragged. There is no, in this particular race, there is no first prize for getting you first. You have to get your whole team across. And that might mean that because we're going to win in this particular fight, we're going to win or lose as a collective. I know I said anti-collectivism, but as a group,
well, as a team,
there is no I in team. That's not true. There is an I in the middle of the a-hole. So we have to win or lose as a team. And I think a lot of people are so busy with wanting it to be, look at me, I'm doing the most. I'm doing this. That's great. The rest of your team is 3 miles back. So you might be a leader. You're in the lead, but I wouldn't necessarily call you a leader because a leader doesn't have to necessarily lead first. In Roman warfare, the leaders often commanded from behind. The British did the same thing back before we kicked their butt in July many years ago.
Nice analogy.
Nice analogy. But it's not always that you don't always have to be out in front and visible. And I think that's what a lot of people want is they want the accolades that come from being a visible part of the movement. I'll give another analogy. The Air Force. My husband is in the Air Force, and when people think of the Air Force, one of the first things that comes to mind is pilots, usually fighter pilots, the cool planes. Well, my husband doesn't fly a cool plane. He flies a big ass building that somehow miraculously gets off the ground.
Which one,
But
by the way, one flew over my house not too long ago. I was like, damn, that thing's big.
I think it was from us because I know that we had Fred was doing laps up
he
there.
was coming right up the coast, and I was like, holy shit. Because I'd see plane, you know, I've seen Air Force One go over because they do touch and goes at our local airport. You know, there's a day goes by, I don't see an Osprey go over or you know, an F-16. It's not uncommon. And then there's this thing, you know, C-130s you see all the time. And they're big planes. Yeah, they were like Tonka toys.
But to borrow an analogy, the fighter pilots will be the first ones to tell you they couldn't do their job and they'd be visible without the support system. So my husband's plane is the support system. It is the biggest cargo plane, barring a Russian one, that has a larger wingspan by 6 inches, but the cargo bay is bar none. This thing is so big that the Wright brothers could have had their entire first flight within the cargo bay of this plane. That being said, it's the support system. So oftentimes we see the front of the movement, the figurehead, the visible ones, but the visible ones can't do their job without the support system. War, for example, is another great one. Wars are not won by, you can have the best fighting team in the world, but wars are won in logistics. If you have the best fighting team in the world, they still need food and water. So you have a support system that gets them food and water and the tools that they need, the maintenance that they need, all of that. So even if you're not visibly in front doing your part, you're still doing the support system. Most of my life, since I started doing this 18 something years ago, I have been the support network. It is only very recently that I have become in any way visible, and I'm still not as visible as someone like Dan or Karen Strong or any of the Honey Badgers, or I'm still not that visible. I might get glimpses. It's like, you know, you peek out of the curtain every now and then, oh, look, a squirrel. But I'm still not that visible. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I can do the support because it needs to get done because they can't do their thing without our support system.
And that's where, you know, to use another analogy, sports, right? So played football for years. I was a lineman. You know, the pretty boys get all the attention, you know, and that's what we call them, pretty boys. You know, the quarterbacks, the receivers, used to be the running backs back in my day. Now nobody gives two craps about them. But any good running back will tell you he's nothing without a good line, right? And that's where you need to work together. I've been on teams where, and I was just as guilty of it, we despised our quarterback because he was a total head case. So we had one, this is 30-something years ago. This guy was magnificent talent. Definitely above us all talent-wise. And he knew it. And he was a total effing head case. And we were in a blowout. We were winning. So now it was time for some payback, right? Because he used to ride us. You know, if I missed a block one time, and I screwed up, but it was one block, and he went off on me on the field. And I just went, you little, you know. So anyway, long story short, we're up by 40 points, fourth quarter, game's over. And he still wants to drive down the field and run the score up more. And we're like, dude, you know. But anyway, this is so long ago, he was still calling the plays. The coaches didn't call the plays. That's how long ago this was, because the quarterbacks used to call the plays. Well, he called a pass play. So we go up to the line, and I was playing left tackle, and the center goes, and we had pre-planned this. We were waiting for the right time. He goes, basically he said, Now's the time. So whatever it was on 2 or 3, he goes, the center hikes the ball to him, and we all stepped out of the way. We let their entire defensive line crush him. And they did. I mean, all 4 guys just leveled him. And we went over and said, dude, don't F with us again, because you're nothing without us. And to be fair, it straightened his ass out, right? He started appreciating us. That's sometimes what it has to be, but it should never have gotten to that point. That's my point with it, right? Work together, be a team, appreciate each other. We all have unique talents. We all have unique abilities. Lindsay is far better at some things than I am. I reach out to her all the time and say, what do you think about this? Or should I do that? Vice versa, right? We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We work together. I've done that with, I don't know how many other people that are creators or writers or whatever. You know, I talked about Warren Farrell the other day or earlier today. You know, I reached out to him and said, hey, what do you think about this? And he was kind enough to reply to me. All right. Warren Farrell is up here. I'm, you know, the mud on the bottom of the shoe compared to him. Okay. But that he did that, 1, meant the world to me. 2, made me better. And 3, helped move the movement forward. That's what it's about. So if someone comes along and you think that their way is not the right way or whatever, and you don't agree with it, help them out. That's, reach out to them. Hey, I've done that. I'll tell you, I used to reach out to Maddie. I haven't done much lately because Maddie's
been busy.
He's got a girl, right? Maddie is funnier than hell. I wish I was half as funny as he was, but I've reached out, dude, how do you do it? Right. A couple other ones who are just freaking hilarious because I want to inject more humor into mine. I admire them. And he's like, dude, try this, try that. He said, see this video you did, do this differently. I appreciated the hell out of that. That's what we need to be doing.
So like, here's another wonderful analogy. So we're all jumping, those stupid in arcades, the coin push games where you drop coins in and they slowly push and then they all fall.
Oh, yeah.
The cascading games.
I know which one.
So with the helping each other, it's going to take all of us. So you keep piling on and piling on and piling on until finally you get that one grain of rice that tips the scale. Mulan reference. Mm-hmm. Disney this time. And then you have a cascade. That's sometimes what it needs to do. But if we have a whole bunch of prancing peacocks strutting around going, I want this, me, look at me, and the rest of us are back here going, we're trying to hold this up, we're trying to hold the house up, but we're gonna collapse and fail because y'all are too busy strutting around, trying to be the star of the show or wanting more accolades than worth. Here's a band analogy. Everyone loves the woodwinds and whatnot because they have the melody. And they're like, oh, we have the melody. We're both the most important. These were the flute morons. And we're like, that's great. But the music that we're playing, the melody's pretty, but without the background noise, you would sound flat, one-dimensional. So the flutes were being flutes. And no offense to anybody who was a flute, but in my high school, they were... If it rained, they'd drown. So they thought they were doing great. And we were at a practice and we had someone special come to watch us do practice. None of the brass played. So we played, but very softly. None of the big wall of sound that we'd been doing, before that. And the flutes looked like idiots. They didn't sound as good as they thought they did. Versus, goes back to the support system. You can remove the melody, but you still have a wall of sound and it still sounds good. It's like you can remove the treble from a track and the bass beat still sounds great.
Did you see that comment?
I know what they do with the... Yeah.
That's one time at band camp. Yeah, that's Lindsay.
Yeah, I met my husband at band camp. But the idea is that you can have there you can always replace someone who is wants to be the star. So I want to be the head of the movement. Okay, you're out there working, and sometimes it's time for you to retire, or you've gotten too big for your britches, and the rest of us will beat you back into submission, and then we'll pick someone else to be the next figurehead.
Mhm.
It's easy to pick figureheads. The support system is a different story. Not everyone could do support system. Not everyone has that capability. So now we're back to, we all have different strengths and we all have different weaknesses. We have to play on those strengths in order to get the end goal met. Which strengths or which plays, like playing chess. So you have the chessboard out, certain pieces do certain things. The queen cannot win, although she's the most powerful piece, the queen can still not win the game all by herself. Coincidentally, my favorite chess move is pawn to queen. If you can get a pawn all the way across the board and put in a queen spot, you can get a second queen in chess. So the idea that, oh, well, look at me, I'm important, I'm the face of the movement, I'm the queen, that's nice. There's nothing to say that the pawn can't become the queen and then win the game. So again, we're back to teamwork, guys, and stop with the infighting. This is not Mean Girls. We're not.
I'm just sitting here just enjoying this because, one, I
Um,
didn't know you played chess, so now we're gonna have to play chess because I love playing chess. Two,
haven't you
one,
learned by now that I am the nerdiest of nerds? I
uh,
wave that flag proudly.
two, one queen is bad enough, but having a second one in your life is never a good thing. Just saying. But Lucky John just stole my line. But teamwork makes the dream work, right? It's with the regard to the issues that we deal with, the men's and boys issues. There are so many of them, and the analogy you made earlier that the support system is so necessary. That's what's not there in the men's movement, right? There are a lot of quote unquote figureheads out there. There are the Jordan Petersons. There are the Tates. Think of them what you will. There are the Pearls. Again, think of them what you will. They're huge. They are, unfortunately, in some cases, they are the leaders. Warren Farrell we talked about earlier. Richard Reeves is another one. There's quite a few I could name. Aaron Pizzi back in the day, right? There's a lot of heads out there. There is literally no logistical or support staff or linemen. A lot of quarterbacks, no linemen. That's what we need, right? We need men and women to stand up, do things like making videos. If that's not your thing, write articles, right? Back in the day, it used to be write letters to the editors. That wouldn't do anything now.
Write letters to your local congressman.
So, all right, you can't do that or you don't want to do that. Call up your local congressman. Go lobby, right? Find something you're good at, whatever it might be. I've had guys say to me, I'm not good at anything. To use an old Southern analogy, if someone can't cook and they're going to a picnic, what do you tell them to bring? Chips or paper plates, right? Still needed to help get the party going. Be the chip maker or, bring the paper plate. Find something. I've had guys say to me, I can't do any of that stuff. Okay, throw $10 a month out. That helps too. It does not matter what you do as long as you do something, right? Be part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem by sitting back, bitching, complaining, trying to silence those of us that are doing what we're doing or criticizing us. Look, I don't mind constructive criticism, but I get every day some of the DMs I get from guys, and I don't read most of them, but every once in a while I get one. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? And then I go look them up. They got 4 followers. I'm like, and have
That's
never
a lot
done
of big talk for someone
and
who
have
doesn't do
never done
anything.
your videos suck. You need to be doing. But I had one. I'm not joking. This was not too long ago. Your videos suck. Your sound is bad. Blah blah blah. Some of the criticisms were legit. I will freely agree to. Then I went and looked at his account. He's got a half dozen videos up. He had, I don't know, 20 followers, and his videos were so amateurish. And I'm like, who are you to call me out? I'm not saying I'm perfect, but walk the walk before you talk the talk, dude. Right. And again, it just took away from my time. My fault for allowing it. Don't get me wrong. But if he had taken that, whatever, however long it took him to, because he wrote a pretty long paragraph, let's say 5-10 minutes, picked up his phone and called his congressman and said, I support shared parenting, or open a domestic violence shelter, or whatever issue you want to deal with. Would that have been more productive for the movement than writing me to go, dude, you're bald. You need to put powder on your head. Come on. Sorry, guys. I don't use filters. I don't hide who I am. I don't use makeup. What you see
I've
is
been
what
told
you get.
I've been told that I need to put makeup on because more people will watch my videos then, and I was like, but I don't want to. It's annoying to put on makeup. It is. I put on makeup today.
Yeah, but I've seen you in makeup, and you are quite attractive when you put it on.
But I'm also not going to spend that much time on a 5-minute video. Like,
Right.
it takes me 5 minutes. Never mind. Or my other one was, I was told once that it would look better, or I should try wearing less. I said, fuck no. Respectfully. I didn't even say respectfully. I said unrespectfully. Fuck no. I've also been told that I made the mistake of making a video not too long ago where I'm wearing a sports bra, workout clothes. So I'm wearing a sports bra. Of course, it's actually less revealing. It came up higher than what I'm wearing right now. But some asshat twat waffle in the comments said, you would look better if you wore a push-up bra. And I'm like, no. You're bald and my boobs are small. So those are the two criticisms we get the most. And I'm like, okay, but what about what I said? What about what he said? What about what the message?
I'm gonna be such a smart ass right now, but I won't.
But
I just threw your train of thought off, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You derailed it completely.
I was loud. I'm sorry.
Wait, no.
Go. I'm shutting up.
Okay. So, and these people are like, well, you would get the message across better if you did this. I was like, okay, what have you done to get the message across other than criticize me? Well, I haven't. Then shut up, respectfully. I'm a little... Sometimes I get salty. Sometimes spicy squirrel comes out. Salty squirrel, spicy
but
squirrel.
We love spicy squirrel. Questioner had a question. See what I did there? Did you hear that? I'm going to get to some of the comments now. Did you hear that no-fault divorce is being questioned in some states? What's your views on the topic? I hope I'm not off topic, but the manosphere is making an impact on that issue. I am aware of it.
As am I.
No-fault divorce. You know what? We should do a show on that. Maybe next week. But just to give you my short answer, no-fault divorce is the biggest mistake they ever made with regard to family law.
Agreed.
And even the person who championed it originally, one of them who was Ronald Reagan, later regretted it, right? The reason being is it took away the marital contract. So there is nothing.
There's no penalty for breaking a contract.
Right. Are there times divorced? Yes, there are. And those were in existence. And I was in the state that moved to no fault last. New York State was the last state to go to no fault. And it wasn't until 2010. And the divorce rate skyrocketed. So it's completely backfired. I'll just leave it at that, but make a note so that we remember, because that would be a great discussion on that, because
I'm writing it down, guys.
Yeah, because I'll forget. But that's see, you guys come up with the topics, and if there's other topics that you have out there that you want us to talk about, let us know. Put them in the comments. This is a great time to do it because we got about 10 minutes.
Comments. Yes,
it doesn't necessarily need to be what Lindsay and I want to talk about. What do you guys want to talk about? CTZ just asked, is there Spotify or Apple Podcasts with Dan? Yes, there are. Men Need to Be Heard podcast is on, get ready now, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. I'm forgetting some other ones. Go find them. This show is now on Spotify. Replay of it. All right, because we can't send it live to Spotify. So Boy Meets Squirrel is on YouTube. You can watch the replays if you're ever not here live. It is on Spotify now. So I'll be loading them up slowly but surely. It's just going to take me a while. That's the kind of stuff that we want to hear from you guys. If you want us to do stuff like that, or there are other places to put this, that's not too much work, let us know. Because we want to make it as easy as possible. The long-term plan, and Lindsay knows this, so I'm not sharing a secret she doesn't know, is we're going to be breaking Boy Meets Squirrel off into its own little channel. So hopefully we can get that done soon.
Eventually. Summer is just busy for everyone.
Yeah, for both of us. So, and we're still working on the book too, which, by the way, once we get done, I got to let you in on something. Go ahead with comments, because I haven't. Oh, wait, here, I got one right up before I let you. Country One Born, it said, is she on Instagram, meaning you? So give your Instagram.
Yes, I am on Instagram, Squirrel Girl 1988. It's just Squirrel Girl. I believe it's all one word. I'm also have the same handle on Twitter or X. And believe it or not, I also have a YouTube channel, although there's nothing on it right now because, again, that's a lot of effort. And as you heard the cornucopia of noise today, that is a slice of what my summer is like with 2 dogs, 2 children, and occasionally a Hubbers. Yes, I did just call him Hubbers. There's a story behind there.
That's okay with that. I'll go with it.
He called me when I was pregnant with the first child. He called me Tubbers, and so I called him Hubbers instead, and it just kind of stuck.
I like that. Just to go through, I'm just looking. There was not a lot of comments on Instagram. What's up with the Instagrammers today? You guys are pretty quiet.
There's not a lot of.
But official Amal way back when said hello from France. Bonjour.
Bonjour, parlez-vous français?
Je parle français. Je m'appelle Dan. Don't get me started on that.
There's a lot of people just chatter. We had a lot of communication in our.
So I mean, if you have any questions, we got about 8-9 minutes. It doesn't have to be on this topic. But one thing you could help us out with, guys, is if there are topics you want us to cover that we haven't covered recently, or even if we have, I don't care. Let us know, because
DM us, message us, tag us in videos.
DM her, because I don't.
DM me. He gets inundated. I don't get inundated.
I need a personal assistant so bad. No joke, guys, and I've shared this before. I get hundreds of DMs a day. I'm starting to fall behind on emails because I can't keep up with them. I love it, but my biggest fear, and I live in fear of this, is that somebody will reach out to me that really needs help, like now, like they're on the verge of unaliving, and I'll miss it. Because I get a lot of those, a lot more than people realize, where, I'm really struggling. Can you get me help? That kind of stuff. And I'm just getting overwhelmed with it. And so if you know anybody that wants to be my personal assistant for free, because no, I don't make any money doing this, so I can't pay. Let me know. I tried to get Lindsay to do it, but then she wanted to be the star. So no, I'm only teasing. I'm teasing. I just wanted to see the look. I thought I might get a snort out of you on that one. Rate said paternity fraud inside marriage. We did paternity fraud about 3 months ago.
Paternity fraud. Paternity fraud is rampant.
I got an idea. I can't promise this, but I'll try. I will reach out to Carnell and see if he'll come on live.
That would be amazing.
If you want to see that, Carnell is the god when it comes to paternity fraud. He is the guy. He took it all the way to the Supreme Court. He's gotten laws passed in some states. Again, a man I look up to, and I have no jealousy of him. He's much bigger than I am. God bless the man. I love the man. Truly love the man. I will reach out to him and see if I can get him to come on the live. It might be tough with his schedule. But yeah, we'll do that, because I think paternity fraud is one of the up and coming things.
It's one of the things that they wanted to talk
Yeah.
about at the.
So 39th said, I would love to see that podcast. Go over to YouTube. It's on YouTube. There is a whole playlist of the shows. In fact, I would really suggest you go watch show number 2. There's a certain person who's on your screen was my first guest and second on the show. She also did one not too long ago, about a month ago, was it? But the one with Carnell was in May, if I remember right. I've got so many banked right now, I've lost track of where I'm at.
You may be correct.
It's somewhere in there. Questioner also said, have you ever thought about a call-in show? In fact, we have. I would love to do something like that. The problem is you need a producer, because I do radio, and we let me tell you, if you don't have someone screening the calls, you can get in a lot of trouble. So it would be hard for us to just take calls live without having someone screening them. So if you ever call into a radio show, you're going to get a producer is screening you before you get on the air. It's not the host, because they don't have time to do that. But yeah. And you also, I love Crushers on a roll. Have you ever thought about both do a show with Honey Badger? I would be willing to. They've never reached out to me. I did chat with them on something a while ago, or Paul Elam.
I sent an email to both Paul Elam and Karen Strong about the men's conference. I have yet to hear anything back.
Yeah, I mean, they're busy people too, and I get it, right? So it's just is. We got about. Go ahead.
Question: how can you tell someone that their relationship is toxic as a friend? Can we do anything? I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I just be blunt and say, dude, is this really, really doing anything for you? Are you getting anything out of this other than, trauma bonding and really funny stories after the fact, like trauma? And if they say, well, no, I was like, well, then why are you still with them? I've done this before. I have told friends, this is you're like oil and water. You can love each other, but it's a toxic relationship. It's like gasoline. And it is hard, because people don't always like to hear it. But if you're really friends with that person, you're going to tell them the truth, because you would rather them have the truth and know what to deal with it than have a comforting lie that would hurt them longer and more in the long run.
I mean, to your point, it would depend on the type of friendship you had, right? So I'll just use Lindsay's example. I would have no problem being blunt with her. And no, she does not have any problems. Okay. But somebody else who's a friend of mine, I would have to handle it totally differently, right? I have used, I don't know, 4 or 5 different approaches that I can think of off the top of my head. The blunt one is one of them, right? It depends on the person. Other people, I've had guys who I knew were in bad relationships, and I just said, hey, let's go have lunch. And I would kind of probe that. How's it going? How's things going? What are you and her doing? Blah, 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 questions. Get them talking, and then say, well, here's what I'm seeing. That would work with someone that's the approach. You have to tailor your approach to the person. So there's no right or wrong way to really do it. That all said, generally speaking, if you are seriously concerned about them, speak up whatever way will work, or the best way you can think. Baldwinkle and Squirrel. I love it. They're saying they should name them. I like this. See? We might have to steal that one, Lindsay. But yeah, to kind of close that point, if you are really concerned about them, do something, say something. So, all right, Lindsay.
Because if you don't, you will regret it for the rest of your life.
Yes, you will. You're not doing it to be mean. You're doing it to be their friend. We got a minute left, kiddo. Let everybody know how they can follow you.
I am Squirrel Girl 1988 on everything. It's the full birth year, not just 88. I get in trouble for that one. Don't ask why. That's a rabbit hole you do not want to go down. And I do have a backup, however, TikTok, which is Squirrel Girl 1088, which is month and year before anyone asks. It's the best way to remember, because I'm a spooky squirrel baby. Yep, that's me.
Yep, and you can follow me. Well, you are following me because you're watching this. So on the various things, one thing you can do though for both of us is head on over to Spotify and look up Boy Meets Squirrel, the podcast. We have right now I have last week's show up and the very first one we did together, and I'm going to be gradually adding them as we go along. So this show will go up not tomorrow because it's a holiday. Probably not even Friday because I'll be at the beach. But the next couple of days, a replay of this show will go up. Do us a favor though, go over to Spotify. Follow if you're a Spotifyer, follow us there, and give us some love there because we're trying to grow the brand. It is a brand. We're trying to get our word out, and that's the best way you can help us. Like this, share this, check the replays out all over the place. Final note: I just want to give a shout out. Raving Ray sent another hand heart, but Equality sent one more.
Yeah!
And on that note, guys, have a great week. Awesome July 4th for those of you in the States. And we'll see you next Wednesday at 4.
Bye, guys.